Café Anyway. Welcome to Café Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2914, 2914. And Mike Matthews here at Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The last place on earth in the land of Maritopica. And Mike Matthews doing this show. It's singing to you here at Café Anyway, where everybody likes to go. Because you want a place where people know your name or don't know your name. Or you want to go incognito, whatever, that's the same. Chipotle wants a bot to prep your avocado.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Your avocado. Hello, Autocado. It halves, skins, and cores
Mike's
avocados
Daily
in 26 seconds.
Podcast.
This will save 50 minutes
Yeah.
that it usually takes to hand make a fresh batch of guacamole. 26 seconds to halve, skin, and core the avocado, which I'm wondering how effective is that? How does it get the good stuff of the avocado? And everybody's got a different method for how to do the avocado. I do the thing where I cut it in half, and then I get the knife. Well, first I get the knife and I cut it in half, and then I get the pit out by doing this total like a ninja chop on the pit. And you know, I've now, if I've done it really with much vigor and not gone through the avocado and through my hand, I've gotten just a bit of the pit, and then you turn it to the side and you unlock the pit and you take the pit out of the avocado. Then you wash off the pit and you throw it at your cat, because your cat loves to play with those because they're so they roll so smoothly on a hardwood floor like I have here at Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Maritopica. And so they'll play with that all day. And then I cut it while it's still in the skin. I slice it up and then I scoop it out. But that's not what everybody else does. Some people skin it.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Skin it first. There's all kinds of methods. So the podcast picture is not of an avocado, but of my lovely lady friend and I. She was on the last podcast. She was laughing a lot. She was making allusions to the fact that maybe parts of the podcast were recorded earlier. And she was Sarah Connor because she was talking to us from the past. And there was a time warp going on. Let's do the time warp again. All of that. Well, you can hear that in the last podcast and see the podcast picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. It was episode 2913 called Aware, because we were talking about how some people are not very self-aware in those supermarkets. And that podcast picture is at a place that I used to go to with the late great Basil the Boxer. Harbor Bay Island, or Harbor Bay Isle. It's also called Bay Farm Island near Alameda, the quote unquote island of Alameda, though it's not exactly an island. It started out as a peninsula, and they put a waterway along the other sides that were connecting to the land, and thus cutting it off legitimately on all four sides with water. Therefore, it is an island. There you go. Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. So crypto spending on the 2024 election has hit $190 million. $190 million. How much was spent 4 years ago? $15 million. So it's gone from 15 up to $190 million. Wow. Wow, shuts wow. And as you can tell, Trump seems to be very much in the camp of, hey, yeah, America's going to be the biggest, best crypto hub on the planet. And he's good friends with Elon Musk. And I think Elon's probably...
Is that why you're bald, Mike?
Influencing him. I'm bald because of Elon Musk? Okay. Sure. It's not Jeff Bezos' fault, who's also bald? I'm in the more in the Jeff Bezos club than in the Elon Musk club. He's still got a lot of hair. But he was on that interview, Donald Trump with Elon Musk recently. So there you go. Talking about crypto and stuff. Gold just hit a record high. Some people like to invest in that when everything goes crazy. It could be headed for 300. What's that? Wait. Let me say that number right. $3,000 next. With last week's record close was at $2,610. So it could be breaking the 3,000 mark. Gold is beginning to advance with escape velocity, which projects substantially higher prices, and that tends to happen in election years, from what I've heard from my financial expert friends. And it is danger, Will Robbins, danger, because it is such a very turbulent year with another assassination attempt on Trump. And Trump is, at first, there was all this talk from his minions, from his right-wing talk show host radio people saying, oh, you know how they just lambasted the Secret Service the last time when he actually did get shot and a bullet grazed his ear. Well, everybody blamed, and they pulled the Secret Service on Capitol Hill, and that the gal that was running the whole operation had to resign. Well, now Trump is like, no, they did a good job. They did a good job. And it has been found out that the Secret Service had told him, hey, former President Trump, when you're on the golf course, you're out in the open and there's not much we can do. Look, these journalists can take pictures of you with a long scope telephoto lens and get a good picture of you. That same thing, that could be instead of a camera, could be a gun. And they told him that. He has been repeatedly warned. So this time, not so much.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
We don't see the people up on Capitol Hill so much throwing the Secret Service under the bus, as it were, as people driving in the bus are using Mr. Microphone and saying, hey, good looking, we'll be back to pick you up later, which is really creepy. But that was a big 1970s, 80s commercial. So yes, they somehow have escaped the complete scrutiny, although I'm sure there's going to be some Republicans that are still going to want to rake them over the coals. Warner Brothers slashed the Beetlejuice budget from $150 million to $100 million. Yes, as we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in podCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Maritopica. You can see a video of me recording this at Facebook. There's a link, mikesdailypodcast.com, link to my Facebook page there, and you can see the video that I did. This will be posted for about 30 days, and I'm using a very bizarre filter that's making my head really extra shiny. I am shining like a beautiful avocado pit.
Anyway.
Okay, but why did Warner Brothers do that? Because they thought it would flop. Yes, they feared it would flop. However, it made $264 million in its first 2 weeks. So, wow, it beat that budget by doubled what they paid for in the budget. So, maybe if they would have thrown more money at it, it would have been worse. And people wouldn't have wanted it. Who knows? But anyway, can you say profit? Because that's what Warner Brothers is making right now. And they didn't have to steal any underwear. That's a South Park joke for some of you who saw that. If you haven't seen it, you should go see that one. That particular episode was very funny. Gas is topping $5 in California. California's gasoline prices are moving higher. Gas is getting cheaper in the rest of the country. So great to be in California. The average price of a gallon of gas is down 23 cents in the past month to $3.21 nationally. Analysts think the average could even go under $3 nationally. But the gap with California is widening. California prices have risen 17 cents to an average of $4.78 per gallon. In Northern California, prices average more than $5 in many areas. California has higher environmental...
Mike is awesome.
And that's how I got that information from. Rob Black. You can hear him on AM 1220 KDOW weekday mornings, and he is on Cron TV Monday through Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour. And he says California has higher environmental regulations and taxes, part of what makes it so expensive here. There's that winter blend and summer blend and all that. Blah. I hate to hear about that stuff. It annoys me. And I hate to hear people complain about the gas prices in California because they always go up. And there's always going to be something to complain about. So, like, what's the point? But multiple California refineries are undergoing seasonal maintenance, and they go offline, and that makes it so gas is more precious, is more scarce. So that shoots the supply and demand. Less supply, demand goes up. You know how that works. Governor Gavin Newsom wants oil companies to do more to cool prices. Now, what the heck? TikTok has fought its ban in court. We were talking about in the last podcast about how they had to answer some serious questions in court. They are headed to federal court. Well, they were actually in federal court earlier this week to appeal its looming U.S. ban. ByteDance has to sell TikTok by mid-January next year, or the app will be blocked from devices. I tried to get onto TikTok. Well, I did not want to put the app on my phone because it's a trap. It is a trap. I think it is a trap, and I did have this bad encounter with using WeChat because I had a former roommate that I was trying to keep in touch with. He had moved back to Hong Kong, and he said the only way to text me will be through WeChat, so you'll need to download it. I downloaded it and found out that actually a lot of people I know in California are on WeChat, so I was able to chat with them on WeChat. But then all of a sudden my phone started acting wonky and weird and bizarre, so I deleted it. And it still acted wonky and weird and bizarre. And I draw the causation, the correlation, whatever, that's possibly what caused it. But U.S. spenders, let me back up. Oh, so I didn't want to put the app on my phone. I found that you could get onto and use TikTok through the web. They got a TikTok.com website. I tried that. I tried opening up an account, and I was able to post many videos on there, short little videos, little excerpts from the podcast, and then suddenly one day they blocked me. So I don't know what happened. I didn't use any offensive language or anything that would upset them in any way. I didn't talk about them like I'm talking about them now, and they blocked me. So maybe they just didn't, they were mad. Makes music. They were mad, and it sounded like the song sounded like this. TikTok is mad because they didn't want this lad to not use them without putting it on the phone with their app. That's my song. But anyway, TikTok has over 170 million users in the US, and users spend an average of about almost an hour, a little less than an hour per day on the app. TikTok has 1.04 billion monthly active users worldwide. I know someone who is about my age, and this woman wants to get onto TikTok. She wants to start a channel. She wants to make all these videos. She talks about it nonstop. When I tell her I have my podcast and I've been doing it for over 10 years now. Yeah, well over 10 years now. She's like, well, do you do any video? And I go, no, just a tiny little bit. She's like, no, you got to be video all the time. Doesn't matter if you do audio. And she talks bad about my whole podcast, and it upsets me. I get angry, and I walk away in a huff. Well, she's all about TikTok. Well, actually, she hasn't actually started a channel. She's been talking about it for over a year that she's going to do it, and she hasn't done it. But as soon as she finally does it, TikTok's going to be banned. But they have 1.04 billion monthly active users worldwide. U.S. revenue reached $16 billion off of TikTok last year, and that was up from $4 billion just 2 years before that. So it quadrupled. China is refusing to export the app's algorithm, and American support for the ban fell from... What's that, Chewbacca? Okay. Let's see. Oh, so less Americans are supporting the ban. So 50% of Americans believed in banning TikTok in March of this year. Now only 32%. Went from 50 to 32% just last month. It fell to that. Social rivals like Meta, that's of course Facebook, YouTube, and Snap, people that bring you Snapchat, would get a big boost if TikTok disappeared. And that horrible thing that happened. I mean, war is horrible, but a lot of people died. Some innocent people died in the fight between Israel and Hezbollah when all of those pagers exploded. Can you imagine? It's not even funny to think about if somehow China was able to make smartphones blow up, the ones that had I'm sure I'm not the only one that drew that comparison. If TikTok somehow caused the smartphones to blow up, that is not what caused the pagers to explode. All these pagers exploded in Lebanon, and Sean Morehouse, a former British Army officer and explosive ordnance disposal expert, said videos of the blasts suggested a small explosive charge was actually in the pager. And they used pagers because using a smartphone makes them a target. Israel's able to locate them using their phone. I don't know exactly what's funny about that. Just that maybe smartphones, people predicted in the past years ago that smartphones would be our undoing. Although back then it was, don't get them too close to your head because they could cause you brain cancer, which I have heard studies disprove that since then. But they say Sean Morehouse, the former British Army officer and explosive ordnance disposal expert, said that an explosive charge as small as a pencil eraser had been placed into the devices. And let's see, Elijah J. Magnier, a Brussels-based senior political risk analyst, said he spoke with Hezbollah members who had examined pagers that failed to explode. What triggered the blasts, he said, appeared to be an error message sent to all the devices that caused them to vibrate, forcing the user to click on the buttons to stop the vibration. The combination detonated. That combination of them, trying to stop the vibration, it detonated a small amount of explosives hidden inside and ensured that the user was present when the blast went off. So that was the method to the madness there of what happened. But I'd never heard of that sort of thing happening before. And the way that Israel was able to get these...
What was that all about?
These pagers, the question is, how did they get these into to Hezbollah? They somehow infiltrated the supply chain. And so that made people go, what was that all about? And ask a lot of questions regarding that. Very bizarre way of warfare, but all warfare is horrible. But yes, the war continues. Hezbollah doing terrible things to Israel. And that's the first I'd ever heard of pagers being used to explode. But that is something that's been in the cards for a long time, apparently, that Israel has worked on in the past. So, changing the topic outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley, the last place on earth, look who is here. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Wow, it got really dark there at the end of the podcast, Mike Matthews. It did. Got very dark. Let's think of cheerful inventions that will help.
Mike, how are you?
Help the world. Like, help us find out how we are. How are you? How are you, Chely? I'm good, Mike Matthews. Would you like to buy a snow globe? Just in time for fall. Is it a winter blend snow globe? What's happening, Mike Matthews? Just the gas is a winter blend or fall. I don't know. Fall blend. I'm confused. Snow globes. It's that time of year. Chely Shoehart sells them. Wait, she doesn't sell them this time of year. She sells them all year. What am I saying? Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer, Mike. I think that what you should do is go to Chipotle and get one of those avocado inventions that peel the avocado, because you need to eat more avocado because it's got the good fats, Mike Matthews, and you need good fats. I do. I need lots of good fats, as many good fats as I can. Because right now I got a lot of...
What is the matter with you?
What's the matter with me is I got too much of the bad fats. So I'm going to do that. Work on the good fats. And eat a lot of avocados. And if you'd like to call me about eating avocados or anything else, here's the number.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
And with all things pertaining to Mike's Daily Podcast, which, hey, did you know that's the name of the show?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Well, we won't go to Hal for that information. We'll go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!